A crowd that professes their love for law enforcement assaulted those police officers, dragged them, sprayed them, stomped on them. We all heard the police officers who were there that day testify to what happened.
Framing this as like the poor cops that got stomped on that day. Why don't we care more about our fucking boys in the blue? It's so funny. I'm sorry. I don't care. I literally don't care.
Biden brought it up because the hypocrisy of somebody, okay? Fucking being like, oh, I backed the blue. Oh, wait, no, the cops are defending, like, the actual democracy right now? Never mind. I no longer back the blue. Let's go beat up the cops, right? Okay? Like, I think that's pretty obvious. Let's just keep listening. Maybe he's gonna say, when I say I don't care, what I really mean is I actually do care about the cops that ended up blowing the brains out, the people who sustained permanent injuries that day.
Don't care. I am an advocate, and I am of the mindset that civilized countries allow its citizens to fucking brawl with cops, okay? Because cops are not above the law. They're human beings, just like the fucking people whose skulls they're crushing on a regular basis. In America, we have this very weird attitude that, like, you can't brawl with a cop ever. They'll kill you, okay? And I'm not saying, like, use a gun, obviously, but, like...
Okay, thankfully, he has now denounced the Dallas shooter.
The only countries outside of the United States where people can't fucking brawl with cops are dictatorships.
There is no country on the planet where you can brawl with cops, okay? That isn't a thing you can... It is illegal. If you can... I mean, you can technically can, but you also technically can brawl with cops in Kazakhstan, right? You can. It's still illegal, right? And you'll still, if they find out, arrest you and put you in jail and possibly prison for it. You can kill people by brawling with them. For example, there were cops that day that sustained permanent injuries and cops who later put guns in their mouths and blew their fucking brains out. The thing is, violence against cops in like the army and the military, like, it isn't something that in all situations is always evil, right? A good example of where it would be moral, I would say, is Myanmar, okay? It would be somewhere like Kazakhstan, right? Where there is an active revolution and like dictatorship incoming where there's no other options left, right? And so what you would need to tell me right now is that for those people, those Trump protesters on January 6th, that Biden is saying that those cops were attacked, that's bad, and they're being hypocrites because they backed the blue. He would need to make the argument that those people on the streets for stopping Biden from becoming president and stopping our democracy, that those people, morally, were in the moral right for attacking for that reason. And that those cops... It was perfectly okay for those cops to have those sustainable injuries or PTSD they sustained, okay? Like, we could talk about other people who were hurt by police and all that, but this is just such a... Why? Why? I will say that in dictatorships, the penalties for rioting are much more brutal because they want to destroy any sign of dissent, right? And I don't want to have the penalties for rioting be that brutal, but I also don't like the idea that we just let anybody go out there and just brawl with the cops for any reason. There's so few reasons that I think people should be in a fight with a cop. One, let's say a cop, like situations where I think you can. Cop is about to murder your ass. Fucking brawl with the cop. Cop is about to like sexually assault or rape you. Fucking brawl with the cop. I think that's more, right? Self-defense stuff. I think that's more, right? I think that's okay. Where like they're literally instituting a dictatorship. I think that's moral, right? Where the cops are going in to like clamp down on like civil rights or some bullshit. Like I would even say in certain scenarios that would be more. Of course, people would debate on like what is civil rights or not. But this kind of like just blanket like, yeah, just let them brawl with the cops. Like, no.
I think it shows that it is a civilized country if citizens have the same level of rights and protection under whatever constitution they believe in, where they can fucking brawl with cops.
No, that's not. That is literally that is the antithesis of civilization, is the idea that you can then walk up to those who are supposed to quote unquote uphold civilization and say, beat the shit out of them, right? Even if cops don't always uphold civilization and they're upholding immoral laws. Like, what? You can just brawl with cops? I just see a cop on the street. I just go play the fucking knockout game with this cop. Fucking falls down, skull hits the ground, fucking bleeds to death. What?
If you brawl a cop, you're gonna get clapped. They train a ton. Dude, you are literally out of your mind, dude. Are you fucking kidding me? What? Homie said cops train a ton. Have you seen a cop, dude? What? The only workout cops are getting is when they're running up a fucking escalator that's out of commission to get some donuts, okay, at the Krispy Kreme donut factory, okay?
You can say like, well, I saw this fat cop, and you're true. If you're like a workout and you know MMA shit, or there's more of you, then your odds against that one or smaller amount of cops are okay. But cops in this country are pretty fucking militarized, okay? If they got their shit together, okay, the odds are you are gonna get clapped.
The most exercise a cop gets is when it goes, ooh, yummy, Burger King. Oh no, the drive-thru's not working. I gotta walk inside, okay?
I have been a watcher for years, but now I want you to
Motherfucker said cops train, bro. That's crazy. Yeah, they're fucking, yeah, they're training their gut.
Be clear, we're talking about a situation where multiple cops blew their brains out, like afterwards. I think it was like 4 cops ended up like killing themselves. And then there's of course Brian Sicknick also is dead, and 150 people injured permanently, PTSD. And again, the people, they were rioting for the purpose of Trump needs to be inaugurated, right? That was why they were rioting, because they believe the election was stolen. They believe a conspiracy theory. I mean, under this,
how delightful. Yeah, dude, I've been watching Baki. Yeah, I've been watching Baki as well. You know, some of those cops they're all fucking judo specialists.
To be clear, there's a lot of former military members and like special ops people in there. There's cops who are not very good at fighting, and there's cops that are extremely good at fighting. I remember like when I boxed in high school, like cops were a regular of the boxing gyms, and some of them were the best out of the whole gym. There's cops who were like special ops, and they know how to fight. Not also to mention the fact that they also have more equipment at their disposal. The things rioters usually have that's most useful is numbers. So I mean, that would be your main advantage.
The funniest thing is this, dude. At least 57 people who protested or stormed the Capitol are now running for office. I love that. That's awesome. That's fucking awesome. That's dope.
Like funny in like a meme way, right?
That's great. Wonderful. Incredible. Brilliant. That's America.
He means in a meme way.
Quote, a medieval battle. And that he was more afraid that day than he was fighting the war in Iraq. They've repeatedly asked since that day, how dare anyone diminish, belittle, or deny the hell.
For the record, one thing I will admit, I think even some cops would fucking be more inclined, okay? The thing I'm talking about is like, I'm simply stating that there should be, okay, there should be a base level of humanity, okay, where you don't go above that. Like in the eyes of the law, cop, human, same person, right? And in any other circumstance, if a person treated you like a fucking cop does, you would never stand for that. You would never, ever, ever stand for that, right?
I was trying to get.
And that's what I'm simply stating. I think it would literally fucking make policing better. Some cops would actually train for the.
Okay, to be clear, okay, there's a difference between a cop does something to you that's fucked up and like they're attacking you, and you should have the ability to defend yourself as a statement that's completely separate. Then you should be able to just go punch cops. Okay, the way you say that is so irresponsible. Definitely, when you're doing this while Biden's making a speech about the attacks on January 6th.
The first time ever, so they can, like, you know, engage in hand-to-hand combat. It would make policing better overall, I think. No arms, no guns. Just straight fucking bare arms, baby. You know what I'm saying?
By the way, can I just say, here's another thing. If you believe that cops should be disarmed in this country, like they shouldn't have guns, maybe you can make an argument for certain cops. But if you wanted to make the argument that basically all cops, except for like emergency response units that like go deal with terror attacks and shit, shouldn't have guns, you have to literally be against the Second Amendment. Because the idea that the people could be carrying guns with them and they have those weapons at their disposal that they could then use to kill officers, but cops don't. It's just literally, it can't. It is impossible. Or at least, maybe you don't need to be against the Second Amendment. Maybe for like weird restrictions on it, like you can't have guns in public or some shit. Like against open carry and close carry. Hasan's against the Second Amendment? I find that hard to believe.
In terms of like the general problem, I think a lot of like, it's not just left, it's pretty much everyone has, but like this thing where like people have righteous anger, and like, I mean, on the left, I agree with these problems, so I agree this stuff is righteous, but like a lot of people have righteous anger, and even if that is something that like people like lean on to like keep going, it tends to also like seep into the decisions they make and the kind of political prescriptions they make. And it kind of leads people towards these kind of like vindictive sorts of mindsets.
Yeah, my thing is I understand why he has this like mindset. I just think maybe, I'm sure if he was to sit down and somebody was to make him clarify his position, I doubt he would say, yeah, like those people were like justified in beating those cops with metal poles and crushing them and all that shit. But the way it comes off here is like he's justifying that, and needs to be a lot more careful with that language. I mean, later he just starts, I think his point becomes a little bit clearer when he talks later. It sounds like he's more talking about like, hey, when it comes to this specifically, you should be able to basically defend yourself from cops, and wish cops didn't have guns, which is like a very different opinion. Let me listen to the start again.
A crowd that professes their love for law enforcement assaulted those police officers, dragged them, sprayed them, stomped on them. Over 140 police officers were
He's smiling. Why is he smiling? People fucking blew their brains out.
Injured.
Hard.
We all heard the police.
The chat just so fucking toxic.
Police officers who were there that day testify to what happened.
To be clear, right? Let's say the cops weren't there. Like, there's a good chance a certain amount of legislators would be dead. Right? Now, maybe Hasan would be saying, like, I don't know what Hasan or his chat would be saying then. But I don't know their opinions on, like I doubt they'd be very happy if, like, Ilhan Omar or Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah, it would mainly be, like, people.
Yeah,
on the left,
the
right?
thing is, it would mainly be lefties. Okay, it would be the ones being killed. So, I mean, yeah, this is just so fucking. What the fuck?
One officer called it.
This is the most annoying part of it, is like framing this as like the poor cops that got stomped on that day. Why don't we care more about our fucking boys in the blue? It's so.
No, they're pointing out the hypocrisy that people, again, they were pointing out the hypocrisy that people who claim the boys in blue immediately 180'd when it came to, hey, they're here to literally just defend the democracy quick.
Funny. I'm sorry. I don't care. I literally don't care. Half of those fucking cops were like in the crowd, okay? The other half let them in.
Okay. I'm sorry, but those cops, okay. Many of them lost their lives through the event of what happened that day. And when you talk about the ones that let them in, like, you're talking about moments when multiple ever points were breached, and them holding that position was literally impossible, right? And for them to hold that position would be putting themselves in such bodily harm that they'd be fucked. Do you really expect like two cops to hold off 300, 400 people at a door when multiple windows have already been broken? Maybe if no other entrances were made, then yes, you can ask those people to put their lives on the line and possibly go home in caskets for those positions. But when those positions have already been dropped, what you're asking is for people to make a pointless sacrifice, putting their bodies on the line in that instance. for something that would change really nothing because they could just go through the busted window next to it. It was literally pointless. So don't discredit the people who were there. Not to mention they were stretched completely thin, right? So those were people who stood the line literally even though they didn't get the resources and the resources were delayed. And this is something that everyone agrees upon. And I saw that shit, man. They were fucking overwhelmed, man. They didn't have enough people. They didn't have enough bodies.
And I don't care. I
remember just seeing them fucking hoarding. There were so many fucking people storming the Capitol in comparison to cops at the Capitol. And then you're going to be like, yeah, this one cop should have just, I don't know, took out his baton, no gun, and just fought off 300 people before they went in and, like, hung a few politicians. They were chanting, hang Mike Pence. And let me tell you, they probably wouldn't have just been Mike Pence.
Advocate.
And I played Their Billions on the highest difficulty, and I could have managed that situation.
I bought the game. I haven't yet to play it.
I haven't actually played it.
But oh my gosh, it looks fun. So, oh my god, I forgot I had that game.
Of the mindset that civilized countries allow its citizens to fucking brawl with cops. Okay,
so the statement here that would have made a lot more sense would have been civilized countries don't mow down people for rioting unless it gets to like a point where they're like threatening, like they're taking out bombs and guns and shit like that, or stabbing people, or literally like beating someone to death. Like there's a certain point because you want to preserve the maximum amount of lives you can. That's why the shooting of Ashley Babbitt is different than this shooting of everybody who was there that day, like just mowing into the crowd, because she was going past like one of the final barrier, if not the final barrier between them and all the politicians that many of them were chanting openly to go fucking hang, right? That's why people hold it in a different regard than if a cop was just aiming into the crowd of random rioters and just opened fire, right?
Okay, because cops are not above the law, they're human beings.
Okay, so, dude, I don't know why he would. 1 year later, man. 1 year later, and we've learned absolutely nothing, man.
All right, Dylan, I'm going to challenge you on this one. I think you're being uncharitable.
I'm being extra charitable. Chad's telling me I'm being too charitable. Okay, Denabo.
No.
Okay,
Denabo, he's not saying literally all cops punch all cops. He's figuratively saying it. What he means by punch all cops.
And he's saying this in reference to the president talking about multiple cops who
he means punch the system of police and brawl with the systemic policing system. He's not actually saying literally punch cops. He's talking about fighting the system. And the system should only have batons. That's all I've got. I don't know.
Okay, so Danabo.
And when he says when he's talking about the donuts and the extra donut that they get, he's talking about defunding the police. He's talking about they should get rid of the luxuries. The extra donut is the additional spending that should be spent elsewhere.
Shut the fuck up, okay? Christ. I thought, Jesus Christ. Thank you, Danabo. Thank you for the productive contribution.
You're welcome.
Okay.